The observation deck of the Galactic Alliance Research Station, orbiting KPC-78C, offered a spectacular view of the swirling gas giant below. Vibrant bands of ochre and burnt sienna stretched across its atmosphere, occasionally disturbed by massive storm systems that had raged for centuries. Dr. Telquist found the sight mesmerizing as she adjusted her instruments for the 8th time that cycle. "You seem unusually anxious, Telquist," Zaxnar noted, his translucent tentacles shifting color from a calm blue to a questioning amber. "The diplomatic vessel will arrive precisely on schedule. The humans are nothing if not punctual." Telquist's 6-fingered hands continued their nervous dance across the control panel. "It's not about punctuality, Zaxnar. This marks the first official diplomatic mission after humanity's probationary period, 20 orbital cycles of observation, and the Alliance Council still debates whether to grant them full membership." Zaxnar's tentacles darkened slightly. "Their history troubles many council members, a species that evolved on a death world, with biological adaptations geared toward survival in the most hostile conditions imaginable. And yet they've maintained peace for over a century," Telquist countered. "Their technological advances since achieving interstellar capabilities have been remarkable. We should be welcoming them with celebration, not suspicion." The station's AI chimed softly. "Attention! Human diplomatic vessel Olive Branch, approaching docking parameters. ETA 12 minutes. Telquist straightened her formal robes, the ceremonial medals of xenoanthropology gleaming under the station's lights. "Let's hope Ambassador Jordan Reeves can convince the Council what I've been saying for years. Humanity belongs among the stars with us." "Perhaps," Zaxnar replied, his tone non-committal. "But many believe inviting Deathworlders into our peaceful coalition is akin to introducing a predator to a garden." Telquist sighed. "That's precisely the kind of prejudice the ambassador will need to overcome." The observation deck filled with representatives from 17 species as the sleek human vessel approached. Its design was characteristically efficient. No decorative elements, just smooth curves, optimized for both atmospheric and void travel. Despite its modest size, Telquist knew it contained technology that rivaled anything the Alliance had developed. As the ship docked with barely a tremor, Telquist felt a ripple of anticipation through the assembled dignitaries. The airlock cycled, and Ambassador Jordan Reeves stepped onto the station. Human diplomatic protocols had been extensively studied, but Telquist still found herself fascinated by the actual experience. Jordan moved with a fluid grace that belied the higher gravity of Earth, dressed in a tailored blue suit that complemented their dark skin. The ambassador's expression was warm, yet measured. Their eyes, those remarkably expressive human eyes, scanned the room quickly before settling on Telquist. "Dr. Telquist, I presume?" Jordan's voice carried easily across the chamber. "Your work on cross-species cultural integration has been invaluable to our preparation." Telquist stepped forward, performing the human greeting gesture of extending her hand. "Ambassador Reeves, welcome to Alliance Space. We are honored by your presence." The formal introductions proceeded according to protocol. Jordan demonstrated remarkable facility with the various cultural requirements of each species, from the proper distance to maintain from the touch-sensitive Valus to the precise pitch of vocalization required for the audio-dominant Zenlo. Years of training were evident in every movement and word. "Ambassador," Gravik of the Council Corps addressed Jordan directly, his crystalline form refracting the light as he spoke. "You arrive at a momentous time. The full Council convenes in 3 cycles to vote on humanity's status. Your presentation will be crucial." Jordan nodded. 20 cycles is a long time to wait, but we understand the caution. Earth's history has not always been peaceful. We appreciate the Alliance's patience. Telquist noticed the subtle shifts in posture among the assembled representatives. Jordan's acknowledgement of humanity's violent past was both diplomatic and disarming, addressing the unspoken concern directly rather than avoiding it. The reception continued, with Jordan moving easily between groups, answering questions about Earth, human culture, and their intentions regarding deeper integration with Alliance species. Telquist observed with professional interest, but also growing personal admiration. The ambassador embodied what she had long argued, that humanity had evolved beyond its violent origins. As the formal reception wound down, Jordan approached Telquist at her observation post. "Doctor, might I have a moment? Your station offers a remarkable view." Telquist gestured toward the viewport. "The gas giant below us forms part of a fascinating binary system. We've been studying its unusual magnetic field interactions for decades." Jordan gazed outward, seeming to absorb the swirling patterns below. Beautiful and violent simultaneously, nature often embodies such contradictions. "An apt observation," Telquist replied. "Many Alliance species evolved in more stable environments. They sometimes struggle to understand species like yours, adapted to constant change and challenge." "The Deathworld paradigm," Jordan said with a slight smile. "We've read your papers on the subject. Your perspective has been refreshing compared to some of your colleagues." Telquist felt her neck frills flush slightly with professional pride. "Evolutionary pressure creates strengths as well as challenges. Humanity's adaptability may prove valuable to the Alliance. If they'll have us," Jordan added. Before Telquist could respond, the station alarm blared, 3 sharp pulses, followed by a sustained tone. Emergency lights activated, bathing the observation deck in pulsing blue. "Attention all personnel," the station AI announced. "Unidentified vessels detected in Sector 37B. Transponder signatures match Kriak's Dominion patterns. Alliance diplomatic channel, breach detected." Jordan's posture changed instantly, almost imperceptibly, but Telquist's trained eye caught the shift. The relaxed diplomatic stance disappeared, replaced by something more alert, focused. "The Kriaks?" Jordan asked, voice suddenly crisp. "I wasn't briefed on their presence in this sector." Telquist felt her blood cooling in distress. "They shouldn't be here. The Dominion has maintained distance from Alliance space for generations. They're a predatory species that views diplomacy as weakness." The station's main display activated, showing a tactical overview. 3 Kriaks vessels had intercepted a small Alliance diplomatic ship. The transmission came through, garbled, but clear enough. "Demand immediate surrender. Inferior species will be processed." Zaxnar moved quickly to Telquist's side. "The vessel carries representatives from 6 Alliance worlds returning from the Century outpost." Jordan watched the display, expression unreadable. "How long until Alliance response vessels arrive?" "Nearest defense force is 3 days at maximum speed," Zaxnar replied. Tentacles now a distressed gray. Jordan touched a small device on their wrist. "Olive Branch, priority channel, Captain, situation report and battle readiness." The gathered dignitaries turned in shock at the word battle. A human voice responded immediately. "Ambassador, we're monitoring. Weapons and defensive systems ready. Awaiting your command." A ripple of alarm spread through the observation deck. Gravik moved forward, crystal form pulsing with agitation. "Ambassador Reeves, your vessel was cleared as a diplomatic transport only. Weapon systems violate your provisional status." Jordan didn't acknowledge the protest, instead addressing the human captain. "Deploy rescue operation. Priority is civilian extraction from the Alliance vessel. Engage Kriaks only if necessary for mission success." "Understood, Ambassador. Deploying in 30 seconds." Telquist watched as the human vessel detached from the docking bay, its external configuration shifting. Panels that had appeared decorative reconfigured to reveal what were unmistakably weapon ports. "You misrepresented your intentions," Gravik accused, his normally melodious voice sharp with distress. Jordan finally turned to address the gathered representatives. With respect, Counselor, we represented our intentions accurately. We came in peace. But peace, as humans understand it, isn't the absence of capability. It's the choice not to use that capability, unless necessary. The observation deck fell silent as all eyes turned to the tactical display. The human vessel accelerated at a rate that seemed impossible for its size, approaching the conflict zone in minutes rather than hours. "Dr. Telquist," Jordan said quietly, "I believe the council session may need to be moved forward. What you're about to witness might change some perspectives on humanity's place in the Alliance." Telquist felt a chill run through her body. "What have you done, Ambassador?" Jordan's eyes never left the tactical display. "We've dropped one small corner of our mask. Let's hope it's enough." On the display, the human vessel had positioned itself between the Alliance diplomatic ship and the Kriax attackers. The communications channel crackled to life. "Kriax vessels, this is Captain Eliana Chen of the Earth Vessel Olive Branch. You are engaging in hostile actions against civilians in neutral space. Withdraw immediately." The response came in the characteristic clicking speech of the Kriax. "Insignificant species. Your vessel is smaller than even one of ours. The strong consume the weak. This is the law of existence." "That," Captain Chen replied, "is where you're mistaken." What happened next occurred so quickly that the station's sensors struggled to track it. The human vessel executed a maneuver that seemed to defy the laws of physics, spinning on its axis while maintaining forward momentum. Precision weapons fire disabled the lead Kriax vessel's primary propulsion in 3 seconds. "Impossible," whispered Zaxnar. "Their targeting systems would need to process faster than any known AI." "Not AI," Jordan said quietly. "Human pilots. We evolved to track moving prey across shifting terrain. Our nervous systems process spatial relationships in ways your scientists have only begun to understand." On screen, the human vessel was already engaging the second Kriax ship, while deploying what appeared to be a small shuttle toward the Alliance diplomatic vessel. "Rescue craft deploying," came Captain Chen's voice. "Estimated extraction time 4 minutes." The Kriax responded with concentrated fire, but the human vessel's defensive systems absorbed or evaded most impacts. What damage they did sustain seemed not to impair their operational capacity. Telquist watched in astonishment as the small, human shuttle docked with the Alliance vessel despite ongoing weapons fire. Within minutes, it detached again, clearly having taken on passengers. "Civilians secured," reported Captain Chen. "Returning to station. Kriax vessels disabled but functional. They'll need significant repairs before they can pursue." The entire engagement had lasted less than 20 minutes. As the human vessels returned to the station, a stunned silence hung over the observation deck. It was Gravik who finally spoke. "Ambassador Reeves, your actions constitute a treaty violation of the highest order. Weapons of this capability were never disclosed during your probationary period." Jordan turned to face the council representative directly. "With respect, Counselor, we disclosed exactly what was required under the provisional agreement. Our defensive capabilities. What you witnessed was a minimal demonstration conducted only to save Alliance lives." "Minimal?" Zaxnar's voice rose uncharacteristically. "Your single diplomatic vessel disabled 3 Kriax warships and rescued 28 Alliance citizens without casualties," Jordan added calmly. "I would consider that a successful diplomatic outcome." Gravik's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "The Council must convene immediately. This changes everything about humanity's application status." "I agree," Jordan said. "But perhaps not in the way you imagine. Dr. Telquist, would you accompany me to the emergency session? I believe your expertise in evolutionary adaptation may prove valuable." Telquist found herself nodding, professional curiosity overriding her shock. "Of course, Ambassador." As they left the observation deck, Jordan spoke quietly. "I apologize for the abrupt revelation, Doctor. We had hoped for a more gradual introduction to our capabilities. You deliberately concealed your military technology, Telquist replied, unable to keep accusation from her voice. No, Jordan corrected gently. We simply wore our mask of civilization. It's not deception, it's choice. Humans could have continued our violent history, but we chose a different path. That doesn't mean we forgot how to fight when necessary. The emergency council session convened in the station's central chamber. Representatives from 12 Alliance species formed a semicircle, with Jordan standing alone in the center. Telquist took her place in the observer section, mind still processing what she had witnessed. Gravik opened the proceedings, his crystalline voice resonating through the chamber. Ambassador Reeves, you stand before the Council to explain humanity's deception and treaty violations. Jordan stood calmly, hands clasped behind their back. Counselors, I stand before you to explain humanity's restraint and our commitment to Alliance principles, despite our capabilities. Restraint, the Zenlo representative's voice membranes vibrated with emotion. You concealed weapons of extraordinary power on a diplomatic vessel. We concealed nothing, Jordan countered. Our treaty obligations required disclosure of defensive capabilities, which we provided. We were not required to demonstrate their effectiveness. The Velis representative extended their sensory filaments. The issue is not legality, but trust. Ambassador, how can we welcome a species that maintains such capacity for violence while speaking of peace? Jordan's expression remained composed, but Telquist noticed a subtle shift in their stance, something almost predatory in its stillness. Counselors, I must now speak plainly. The mask humanity has worn during our probationary period was not one of deception, but of courtesy. We have downplayed our military history and capabilities out of respect for Alliance sensibilities. Jordan activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. This is Earth, our homeworld. What you call a death world, high gravity, extreme climate variations, tectonic instability, and an evolutionary history where humans were neither the largest nor the strongest predators. The display shifted to show human history, brief flashes of warfare, technological development, and eventually, space exploration. We evolved as persistence hunters, not the strongest or fastest, but the most determined. We survived through cooperation, tool use, and the capacity to adapt to any environment. Yes, we fought wars among ourselves. Yes, we developed weapons of terrible destructive capacity. But we also chose peace, again and again. When we could have chosen extinction, Jordan paused, looking at each council member in turn. What you witnessed today was not humanity's true military capacity. It was a diplomatic vessel with minimal defensive capabilities, executed by a crew trained primarily in peaceful contact protocols. A murmur ran through the council. The Gravik's crystalline structure pulsed with agitation. Are you threatening the Alliance, Ambassador? I am doing the opposite, Jordan replied. I am being honest about what humanity brings to your coalition. We don't want to fight. We have chosen peace for generations. But we remember how to fight when necessary, and the Kriaks just demonstrated why that memory remains valuable. The council chamber fell silent. It was Telquist who finally spoke from her observer position. Counselors, if I may, my research on Deathworld species suggests that the very evolutionary pressures that created humanity's capacity for violence also forged their remarkable adaptability and problem-solving abilities. The traits are inseparable. Jordan nodded appreciatively. Dr. Telquist is correct. You cannot have humanity's innovation, our creativity, our determination to overcome challenges, without accepting the source of those qualities. We developed them to survive. Now we choose to use them for cooperation, exploration, and mutual defense. The council session continued for hours, with debates growing increasingly heated. Data streamed in about Kriak's movements at the borders of Alliance space. Apparently, the diplomatic vessel had been just the first target in what appeared to be a coordinated incursion. Telquist watched as Jordan maintained composure throughout, answering questions directly, but revealing little additional information about human military capacity. The debate seemed to be reaching an impasse when the station alert sounded again. The central display activated automatically, showing a strategic overview of Alliance space. Multiple Kriak's fleet movements were now visible, converging on key trade routes and outposts. "This is no isolated incident," the Velis representative whispered. "This is an invasion." Jordan stepped forward, studying the display intently. "Counselors, I must contact Earth immediately. This situation has escalated beyond diplomatic concerns." "You have no authority," Gravik began. "With respect, Counselor," Jordan interrupted, voice suddenly carrying an unmistakable edge. "Humanity doesn't require Alliance authority to defend itself. The Kriak's fleet's trajectory indicates Earth is among their targets. We will respond accordingly." Without waiting for permission, Jordan activated their communication device. "Olive Branch. Priority channel to Earth Command. Authorization Reeves Alpha 7. We have a broken arrow scenario." The response was immediate. "Confirmed. Ambassador. Home fleet standing by. Defense parameters." Jordan looked around the council chamber, meeting each representative's gaze. "The mask is slipping, counselors. How far it falls depends on what happens in the next few hours." Turning back to the communicator, Jordan's voice took on a different quality, clipped, precise, unmistakably military. "Deploy full orbital defense fleet to Century Gateway. Kriak's incursion in progress. Alliance worlds under threat. Earth potentially targeted. Rules of engagement. Defend Alliance civilians. Secure Earth approaches. Neutralize Kriak's military capacity." "Understood. Fleet deploying in 30 minutes. Admiral Torres commanding." The council erupted in chaos. The Zenlo representative's voice membranes vibrated frantically. "Orbital defense fleet? Your records indicated minimal space-based military assets." "Our records indicated what we chose to reveal during our probationary period," Jordan replied calmly. "Earth has maintained defensive capabilities proportionate to potential threats since we achieved interstellar travel." "How proportionate?" Telquist asked quietly. Jordan's expression was unreadable. "Sufficient." Over the next 12 hours, the station became an impromptu war room. Alliance defensive forces were mobilizing, but their response times were measured in days, not hours. The Kriak's advance continued unchecked, until the first human vessels appeared at the Century Gateway. The tactical display showed them emerging from FTL travel, not one or two ships, but dozens. Their design was unlike the diplomatic vessel, with no pretense of civilian function. They moved with coordinated precision that reminded Telquist of hunting pack animals from her evolutionary studies. 17 capital ships, Zaxnar reported, tentacles pale with shock. 43 support vessels, weapon signatures beyond our classification parameters. Jordan stood watching the display, now dressed in what was unmistakably a military uniform. The transformation from diplomat to commander had been subtle but complete. "Admiral Torres!" Jordan addressed the fleet commander via holographic link. A stern-faced human woman appeared, her dark hair streaked with silver, eyes calculating and sharp. "Ambassador," she acknowledged. "Earth Command has authorized full defensive protocols. Alliance civilian evacuation is our primary objective, followed by Kriak's containment. The Council is present. Admiral." Jordan indicated the stunned representatives. "They have questions about our military capacity." Admiral Torres nodded briskly. "Understandable. We're transmitting tactical data to your station now. Full transparency going forward." The station's displays filled with information about the human fleet, specifications that made even the most technologically advanced Alliance species take notice. Weapon systems designed specifically for space combat, defensive shields that could withstand concentrated energy bombardment, and propulsion technology that allowed for maneuvers impossible under normal physics. This is unprecedented. Gravik's voice had lost its accusatory edge, replaced by something like awe. No, Jordan corrected. This is humanity without our mask. We've maintained these capabilities since before we contacted the Alliance. Not for conquest, for survival. The tactical display showed the human fleet breaking into 3 distinct battle groups, moving to intercept the advancing Kriax forces. What followed was unlike anything in recorded Alliance military history. The human vessels didn't maintain formation in any recognizable sense. They seemed to operate almost independently, yet with perfect coordination. Where Alliance tactical doctrine emphasized ordered advances and retreats, the humans employed what appeared to be controlled chaos. "What are they doing?" Zaxnar asked, tentacles writhing in confusion as human ships deliberately placed themselves in seemingly vulnerable positions. "Creating opportunities," Jordan replied. "Humans don't fight like your species. We don't value perfect order. We value initiative, adaptation, and controlled aggression." On the display, a human destroyer had allowed itself to be surrounded by Kriax vessels, only to execute a maneuver that one Alliance tactician present declared mathematically impossible. The ship accelerated directly toward a Kriax cruiser, its weapons overloading the enemy's shields at point-blank range. "They're using their ship as a projectile," Gravik exclaimed in horror. "Ship-to-missile conversion," Jordan corrected calmly. The crew evacuated to escape pods before impact. The Kriax hive mind tactical systems can't comprehend sacrificing a major asset for strategic advantage. They're programmed for efficiency, not innovation. Hour after hour, the battle unfolded across multiple star systems. The human fleet took losses, but inflicted disproportionate damage on the Kriax forces. Their tactics seemed to evolve in real time, adapting to each Kriax response with uncanny anticipation. When the Kriax attempted to break through toward Earth, Admiral Torres deployed what she simply called the final option. Telquist watched in stunned silence as human vessels executed what appeared to be a suicidal maneuver, concentrating fire on a single point in space. "What are they targeting?" she asked. "There's nothing there." "Space-time," Jordan replied quietly. "Watch." The concentrated energy created what appeared to be a temporary singularity, a controlled distortion that tore apart the fabric of space itself. When it collapsed, seconds later, 3 Kriax capital ships had been shredded down to their atomic components. "By all that exists," whispered Gravik. "What have you done?" "Demonstrated why humanity chose peace," Jordan answered, voice heavy. "Not because we couldn't fight, but because we understood too well what happens when we do." Within 18 hours, the Kriax fleet had been neutralized. No vessel escaped to carry warning back to their dominion. The human casualties were significant, but far less than any Alliance military simulation would have predicted possible. In the aftermath, the Council reconvened. The mood was dramatically different. The accusations replaced by a wary respect, tinged with unmistakable fear. Gravik spoke first. "Ambassador Reeves, humanity's actions have saved countless Alliance lives. We acknowledge this debt. However, the revelation of your military capabilities raises concerns about your integration into our peaceful coalition." Admiral Torres, now present via holographic link, responded before Jordan could speak. "With respect, Counselor, if humanity wished to conquer rather than cooperate, this conversation wouldn't be happening. We've possessed the capability to dominate this region of space since before we made first contact." Jordan raised a hand slightly, and the Admiral fell silent, a subtle interaction that wasn't lost on Telquist's trained eye. The chain of command remained clear despite the collaborative appearance. "Counselors," Jordan addressed the assembly. Humanity stands at a crossroads with the Alliance. We've shown you what lies beneath our diplomatic mask, not to threaten, but to be honest about what partnership with us truly means. And what does it mean, Ambassador? Asked the Velis representative. To align ourselves with a species capable of such destruction? It means accepting that peace requires the capacity to defend it, Jordan replied. It means understanding that humanity's evolutionary history, as survivors of a death world, gave us both the capacity for violence and the determination to avoid it whenever possible. Telquist stepped forward from her observer position. If I may, counselors, my research on human psychology suggests that their duality is not a contradiction, but a synthesis. The same adaptability that makes them formidable warriors also makes them innovative problem solvers. Jordan nodded appreciatively. Dr. Telquist is correct. Humanity's history is violent, yes, but we've channeled those instincts into exploration, innovation, and cooperation. We wear the mask of civilization not as a deception, but as a choice. Every day, every one of us chooses to set aside our evolutionary heritage of violence. Until it becomes necessary, Gravik noted pointedly. Yes, Jordan acknowledged without hesitation. Until it becomes necessary to protect those who cannot protect themselves, as we just demonstrated. The discussion continued for hours, with various council members raising concerns about treaty revisions, oversight of human military assets, and integration protocols. Throughout, Jordan maintained the same calm demeanor, neither apologetic nor aggressive. It was Admiral Torres who finally addressed the underlying fear directly. Counselors, I understand your concern. You've just witnessed what happens when Deathworlders drop their mask. But consider this. Would you prefer we were your enemies? The question hung in the air, unspoken implications clear to everyone present. Telquist found herself stepping forward again. If I may offer a xenoanthropological perspective, throughout galactic history, species have faced extinction-level threats. The Alliance has survived through cooperation and mutual support. But there are predatory species like the Kriax who view this approach as weakness to be exploited. She gestured toward Jordan and Torres. Humanity evolved under conditions that required both cooperation and defense. They represent a unique bridge between the Alliance philosophy and the capacity to survive in a hostile universe. Jordan smiled slightly. Dr. Telquist articulates our position better than I could. Humanity doesn't ask to dominate the Alliance, but to serve as its shield when necessary. We prefer our diplomatic mask, but we will drop it when circumstances demand. The Council deliberated in private for several cycles. When they reconvened, Gravik addressed Jordan formally. Ambassador Reeves, the Council has reached a decision regarding humanity's status. Given recent events, we cannot proceed with standard integration protocols. Jordan's expression remained neutral, though Telquist noticed a subtle tension in their posture. Instead, Gravik continued, we propose a modified alliance status. Humanity will maintain independent military command while coordinating defense protocols with Alliance forces. Your technological advancements will be shared selectively, with priority given to defensive and medical applications. And the Kriax? Admiral Torres asked directly. The Council members exchanged glances before Gravik responded. Alliance doctrine calls for containment, rather than retaliation. We will establish quarantine protocols around Kriax space. With respect, Torres replied. Containment won't work. The Kriax will view it as weakness and prepare a larger assault. Their hive mind tactical processing learns from each encounter. Then, what do you suggest, Admiral? The Velis representative asked. Sensory filaments extended in alarm. Genocide? No, Jordan interjected firmly. Humanity has evolved beyond such solutions. We propose a targeted operation to neutralize the Kriax military capacity while preserving their civilization. Their genetic drive toward consumption of lesser species can be modified through focused biochemical intervention. A stunned silence fell over the council chamber. You're proposing to change their evolutionary nature? Gravik's crystalline form pulsed with shock. To remake a species against its will? We're proposing to give them the same choice humanity made, Jordan replied. To rise above their evolutionary programming and join a cooperative galactic community. The debate that followed was the most heated Telquist had ever witnessed in council proceedings. Ethical, philosophical, and practical concerns clashed as representatives grappled with humanity's proposal. Throughout, Jordan and Torres presented a united front, firm in their position but willing to discuss implementation details. Eventually, a compromise emerged. The Alliance would establish a buffer zone around Kriak space, while human specialists developed a less invasive approach to modifying their aggressive tendencies. Integration would be voluntary, with careful monitoring. As the session concluded, Telquist approached Jordan in the corridor outside. "Ambassador, or should I say Commander, may I have a word?" Jordan smiled, some of the military bearing fading. "Dr. Telquist, your support during the proceedings was invaluable." "I spoke scientific truth as I understand it," she replied. "But I have a question that troubles me. The mask you spoke of, was it ever real? Or was humanity always preparing for war while speaking of peace?" Jordan's expression grew thoughtful. "The mask is real, Doctor. Every human child is born with the capacity for both incredible violence and extraordinary compassion. Our civilization is built on choosing the latter whenever possible. But we never forgot how to remove the mask when necessary. And now? Will the mask remain off in your dealings with the Alliance?" "No," Jordan replied softly. "We will return to diplomacy, to cultural exchange, to scientific cooperation. The fleet will withdraw to Earth space once the immediate threat is contained. We prefer the mask. Dr. Telquist. It represents the best of what we can be." Telquist's neck frills fluttered slightly in the equivalent of a human nod. "I believe I understand. Your species contains multitudes, the diplomat and the warrior existing simultaneously." "Precisely," Jordan smiled. "And if the Alliance can accept that duality, then perhaps we've found our true place among the stars, after all." As Jordan turned to leave, Telquist called after them. "One final question, Ambassador. What happens if the Alliance ever becomes the threat?" Jordan paused, not turning back. "History has one warning, Dr. Telquist. Don't make Deathworlders drop the mask." The words hung in the air long after Jordan had departed, leaving Telquist to contemplate a future in which humanity's contradictions might prove either the Alliance's salvation or its greatest challenge. In the cycles that followed, the human fleet gradually withdrew from Alliance space, returning to Earth's orbital defenses. Diplomatic channels normalized, and cultural exchanges resumed. The Kriak's threat diminished as the buffer zone stabilized, and preliminary research into behavior modification showed promising results. Telquist continued her xenoanthropological studies, now with unprecedented access to human military and cultural archives. She began to understand the layers of the mask Jordan had described. Not a simple disguise, but a complex evolutionary adaptation. Humans had learned to suppress their violent instincts, not by eliminating them, but by channeling them, controlling them, choosing when to unleash them. The Alliance Council eventually ratified a modified membership agreement for humanity, one that acknowledged their unique status as both partners and protectors. Some species remained wary, but none could deny the effectiveness of the human response to the Kriak's incursion. Admiral Torres established a joint training program, teaching Alliance Defense Forces the tactical innovations that had proven so effective. Controlled chaos, she called it, the ability to adapt, to improvise, to embrace uncertainty as an advantage rather than a liability. Jordan Reeves continued as Earth's primary ambassador, moving between diplomatic functions with the same composed grace as before. But Telquist noticed that Alliance representatives treated them differently now, with a cautious respect that bordered on deference. During one diplomatic reception, Zaxnar approached Telquist, his tentacles shifting through thoughtful colors. "Your research predicted this outcome, didn't it? You always argued that Deathworld species would bring unique perspectives to the Alliance." "I suspected," Telquist admitted. "But even I didn't anticipate the full extent of human capabilities. They concealed much during their probationary period." "Not concealed," Zaxnar corrected, echoing Jordan's words. "They chose which face to present. The mask was always their creation, not our deception." Telquist watched as Jordan conversed easily with representatives from worlds that had once voted against human membership. "They still wear it now, you know. The warrior remains beneath the diplomat. I find that simultaneously reassuring and terrifying." "As do we all," Zaxnar replied. "The Council debates whether other Deathworld species should be approached for membership. Some argue humanity has proven the value of such perspectives. Others fear we've invited predators into our midst." "And what do you believe, old friend?" Zaxnar's tentacles rippled thoughtfully. "I believe the galaxy is more dangerous than our peaceful alliance has been willing to acknowledge. Perhaps we need predators on our side. Predators who choose to wear the mask of civilization until necessity demands otherwise." Across the room, Jordan caught Telquist's eye and raised a glass in silent toast. The gesture was perfectly diplomatic, culturally appropriate, gracefully executed. But Telquist couldn't help remembering the transformation she had witnessed. How quickly the mask had slipped when threat appeared, revealing the Deathworlder beneath, not with savagery or cruelty, but with calculated, controlled, terrifyingly efficient violence. The Alliance had gained powerful protectors. Whether they had also invited their eventual successors remained to be seen. For now, humanity wore their mask willingly, choosing cooperation over dominance. Telquist raised her glass in return, silently acknowledging the unspoken truth that now bound their civilizations together. History has one warning: don't make Deathworlders drop the mask.